In a small town called Luma, there was a school where students learned how to make beautiful clothes. One of the new students was Amara. She loved to sew and had big dreams, but many of the other students didn't like her. Amara's face was different from theirs, with scars that made them call her names. Amara always sat at the front of the class, but nobody wanted to sit next to her. The seats around her were empty. Some students whispered, "She's too ugly. I can't sit near her." One day, their teacher, Mrs. Kemi, came into the class and said, "Today, you will all work on a big group project. This project is very important and will decide half of your grade. I will choose your groups." When Mrs. Kemi called Amara's name, she pointed to Group C. The students in Group C groaned. One of them said loudly, "We don't want her in our group." Mrs. Kemi frowned. "You don't get to choose. I decide who works in which group," she said firmly. Another group shouted, "We don't want Zay either." They were talking about a shy girl with pimples on her face. Zay looked down, holding back tears, while the other students laughed. Amara stood up bravely. "It's okay, Mrs. Kemi," she said. "I'll work with Zay. We'll make our own group." The class laughed even louder. "Two ugly girls working together? Good luck," someone said. Amara ignored them and ran after Zari, who had left the classroom crying. She found her sitting under a tree. "Zari, don't cry," Amara said softly. "We can do this together." "I know we can." Zay wiped her tears and nodded. "Thank you, Amara. You're the only person who's kind to me," she said. The two girls worked very hard on their project. They stayed up late sewing and designing dresses. Amara showed Zay how to make her stitches perfect, and Zay came up with some great ideas for the colors. Amara and Zay didn't let the other students' mean words bother them. They worked day and night, sewing beautiful ball gowns for the project. Even though they were just two people, they worked as hard as the bigger groups. On the day of the big presentation, the classroom was buzzing with excitement. All the groups had their gowns ready, and everyone was eager to show their work. The students whispered and pointed at Amara and Zari as they walked in. What can they even make? Probably nothing good, one boy sneered. But Amara and Zay walked in with their heads held high. They were wearing two of the most beautiful gowns anyone had ever seen. The dresses sparkled under the classroom lights, and the designs were so unique that everyone went silent. When it was their turn to present, Amara and Zay walked onto the small stage like queens. They explained how they made the gowns and how they worked as a team. The teacher, Mrs. Kemi, was amazed. She clapped her hands and said, "This is the best work I have ever seen. Amara and Zai, you get the highest marks." The whole class clapped, even the students who had been mean to them. They couldn't believe how talented Amara and Zai were. After class, many students came up to them. "Your gowns were amazing," one girl said. "Can you teach me how to sew like that?" asked another. Zai smiled shyly, and Amara said, "We'd love to help." Chapter 1: The Beginning of Friendship. Amara and Zai became the talk of the school after their presentation. Many students, who once laughed at them, now admired their skills. But the two girls stayed close to each other, forming a strong friendship. One day, after class, Amara asked, "Zoe, have you ever dreamed of designing clothes for people all over the world?" Zoe nodded shyly. "Yes, but I don't think I'm good enough." Amara smiled. "Of course, you are. Let's dream big together. Maybe one day, we can have our own fashion brand." Zoe's eyes lit up. "Really? You think we can do it?" "Of course," Amara said confidently. "We just have to keep working hard." They promised to help each other grow and become the best designers in the town. A few weeks later, their school announced a village festival. Each class had to create something to sell at the market. Mrs. Kemi decided their class would make clothes and accessories. Amara and Zoe were excited. They worked together to create colorful scarves, beaded bracelets, and simple dresses that they thought people would love. However, some students still didn't believe in them. "Why should we trust Amara and Zoe? They might ruin everything," one boy said. But Mrs. Kemi stood by them. "Amara and Zoe's work speaks for itself. Let them lead this project," she said firmly. During the festival, their stall was the most popular. Everyone wanted to buy their designs. By the end of the day, they had sold everything. The money they earned went to help improve the school. Amara and Zoe felt proud. They realized they could make a difference with their talent. One day, a well-dressed woman visited their school. She had heard about the girls' designs at the festival and wanted to meet them. "Amara, Zoe, I want you to design dresses for my daughter's birthday party," the woman said. The girls were surprised. This was their first big job outside school. They quickly got to work, sketching designs and picking fabrics. When the party day came, everyone loved the dresses they had made. The woman paid them generously and even gave them a bonus. "This is just the beginning," Amara said, smiling at Zoe. As their success grew, jealousy among some students also grew. One day, Amara and Zoe found their sewing materials ruined. Their scissors were broken, and their fabrics were cut into pieces. Zoe looked worried. "What do we do now, Amara?" Amara clenched her fists. "We won't give up. Let's ask Mrs. Kemi for help." With the teacher's support, they got new materials and continued their work. They also learned to stay strong in the face of challenges. A month after the village festival, news spread about a grand design competition being held in the capital city. The competition was for young fashion designers, and the winner would receive a scholarship to a prestigious fashion school. Amara and Zoe were eager to join, but there was one problem: they didn't have the money to travel to the capital or buy the special fabrics needed for the competition. "We can't give up, Zoe," Amara said determinedly. "We'll find a way." They started brainstorming ways to raise money. They decided to make simple but beautiful accessories and sell them at the village market. For weeks, they worked tirelessly after school, crafting necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. At the market, their stall became a hit once again. People admired their creativity and hard work. Some villagers, who had heard about their struggles, even donated money to support them. "You girls inspire us all," one elderly woman said, handing them a small bag of coins. Finally, they had enough money to travel and buy the fabrics they needed. With the help of Mrs. Kemi, they worked on their designs for the competition. They created 2 dresses that told a story of their village, one inspired by the golden sunset over the fields, and the other by the vibrant colors of the market. When the day of the competition arrived, Amara and Zoe were both nervous and excited. They boarded the bus to the city, clutching their designs carefully. At the venue, they saw other contestants with fancy tools and expensive fabrics. Some of the contestants laughed at their simple materials. "Do you think those two stand a chance?" one girl whispered loudly. But Amara and Zali ignored them, focusing on their work. When it was time for the judges to evaluate, their designs stood out. The dresses were not just beautiful, they told a story. The judges praised their creativity, hard work, and connection to their roots. When the winners were announced, Amara and Zai couldn't believe their ears, they had won.